Hello, everybody who is watching again. We're doing another live chat. I am here with Kelly from Kellycamps, and I gotta turn down the volume. I'm getting our live feed coming through on my other thing, so that's a little annoying. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing another little chat. Take some of your questions. We're gonna be chatting all about the outdoors, and we're missing it obviously right now, but that's why we're doing this. So, Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on this. It's great to have you.
Ben, yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me, for asking me. That was I was very honored,
Oh,
so thank you.
cool. Thanks. Well, I'm glad you did it. Um, do you remember when was it we met? 'Cause we met. Were you part of that? You were part of
We
the big
met,
weekend of winter, right?
we actually met, I believe Aaron McDonald had put
Yes,
together kind of a meet and
that's
greet
right. That's
out in,
right.
I think it's the Huntsville area,
Yes, that's right. That's where it
right?
was.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was fun.
And so we met briefly there. We've not really ever spent any time really talking, though.
Not
So
really.
it's nice to really get to know you.
We would chat back and forth on Facebook and stuff. So tell me about what do you do outdoors? What is your who? Tell me about you.
What's my thing? What's my thing? My thing is I like to camp. I like to backcountry camp specifically, although I do front country camp too. And more so solo than with people. But this year, for the first time, I purchased a hot tent, so I started winter camping. And for the first time, I was camping with people, which was actually a lot of fun. I tend to be a little bit shy and aloof and kind of, big crowds are scary to me. So I'm actually really comfortable solo camping, which I think a lot of people might struggle with, not having people to talk to all the time, but I'm actually really comfortable. So this winter, actually going camping with some really wonderful ladies was actually a real pleasure to me. So yeah, but mostly it's backcountry solo, and now it's four season as of this year. So it's great.
Nice. Do you do mostly hiking or backpacking or canoeing or?
Always by canoe. I actually I was talking with Mark Kennard, who is OG, the other guy in the canoe,
Oh yeah,
um,
they're actually
about a
watching.
week ago. Yeah, is he there?
Yeah, he's not sure how long he can
Okay.
stick around, but they're here.
Yeah, so he actually did a little interview with me about a week ago, and he asked about that too, about the canoeing. It was about the, sorry, repeat that question again. I'm losing my train of thought.
Oh, so yeah, do you do mostly canoeing, right?
ADD.
You do mostly canoeing versus
Yes,
backpacking,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he asked me. That's right, the backpacking, and he asked me about hiking or backpacking, and I said I don't like to walk. I really actually am not a big fan of walking. Every once in a while, I'll go on a hike with someone. I did recently with my sister and my son. But usually, I would rather have a mode of transportation. So when I go backcountry, um, my favorite part is being on the water in my canoe, and I would spend all day. I've actually been in my canoe for like an 8 hour stretch, just paddling
Nice.
around without getting out except for a potty break, and that's it. And I'm very happy there. So
What kind of canoe do you go in?
I've got a Swift Pack 13.6 that I love. It's my baby. I'm very emotionally attached to it, actually. It's actually my partner when I go backcountry. It is my partner and my companion. So I feel like it has a personality. But I've also purchased a Cruiser
Oh,
14.8,
that's what
which
I
you
got.
got too,
Which I've only
right?
used. I've only
Yeah.
gone out once backcountry in, and it was only one day. I went with Aaron in October, so I still haven't got a
Okay.
chance to actually give it a good run in.
Mine's not built yet.
Oh,
Don't feel bad. I'm still waiting for it. So I was supposed to get it in May, and now I don't know when it's going to come. Hopefully, I'll have it for the summer. We'll see what happens. I know Mark Kennard was also saying he got the same canoe. So we'll all have to get together and do a race to
oh,
see
it's
just how
it's
fast we
nice.
move
I
cruiser.
I'm not used to using the kayak paddle though, so I'm still figuring that out.
Oh,
But
right.
I do like it's good because you can go faster in it. But I do still like using just a little canoe paddle. I find that really relaxing in that.
See, and I haven't done that yet. And I saw you the other day talking about that, that you had used a canoe paddle with
Yeah.
your pack boat.
Yep.
And I hadn't even thought about trying to use a canoe
You need a
paddle.
small
Not
one.
that I'm
Like I've got
particularly talented with canoe paddles.
yeah, because I've got a child, a kid's one. It's a smaller one because you're sitting low down, so you can't use a full
Right.
one. Your arms would be way
Yeah,
up, right? So
yeah,
yeah, it's. I
exactly.
like using both. I mean, that's if you want just a relaxing paddle, that was great. If you want to get somewhere, a kayak paddle
Yeah,
obviously will work really really well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what color is
And
yours?
honestly, they're designed to be done.
Yeah,
Sorry?
what color are you getting?
It's red.
Oh,
So,
nice. Is it the red and white, the two
there's
tone?
so originally I asked for just the red Kevlar,
Yeah.
and then I contacted them after and I said, yeah, let's do the white gel coat underneath. And now I'm starting to think maybe I don't want the gel coat again. So
Well, if it's
I
not
don't know.
built yet,
There's
you could change
pros
it.
and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I still have time. There's pros and cons because with my pack canoe, I had the gel coat applied to it, and I love the gel coat. I like the way it looks. I got it specifically because A, it looks really sharp, but B, most importantly, it's supposed to protect your canoe a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because it's going to get bumped and abrasions and stuff, but it requires quite a bit of care, the gel coat. So it gets banged up, scuffed off. I've had multiple cracks in it
Oh, really?
as it begins to crack and dry. Yeah, from banging it.
Huh.
So, and I'm not really hard on my canoe, but it does go backcountry.
Yeah.
And, I've been smashed into rocks by waves and stuff. So, stuff happens, right?
Nice.
So I'm not sure if I want to commit again to that gel undercoat because it was costly getting it fixed.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you might stick with the white on the
yeah.
bottom?
Yeah, I might just leave it all red,
Oh, all
just
red.
the
Okay. Instead
Kevlar
of, okay,
layer,
right,
and
right.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
They had it at
Sorry.
the Outdoor Adventure Show. I saw they have specifically for the cruiser, there's a cover for the front. Kind of great, which looks nice. I want to get one of
I
those.
didn't get the skirt. I didn't get the skirt. I might consider that, but I don't know that I really
I don't know how
need it
necessary
because
it
I don't
is.
do white water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do white water. It's not, that boat is not designed for white water.
No.
It's one thing if you're going to get on big lakes and you're in big waves, but do I really want to be choosing to be out on big lakes
And then
and
if you're
big
carrying it,
waves?
it's
Not
gonna
really.
the balance won't be right when you carry it. It's gonna be front heavy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, for sure,
yeah.
for
Oh, well,
sure.
cool to get
But
out,
yeah,
guys.
they keep enhancing their designs. So, I love Swift. I love the quality of their product. It's fantastic. Although I have to say, it's the first canoe I ever bought. I had no experience with canoes to start with, so I leapt in with both feet. But I did about 2 years of research and looking around before I made that decision. So
Nice, nice. So we got a bunch of people watching this right now. Oh, the OG, Cool Quest, Vicky. Who else is on here? Canadian backpacker. Oh, Tina. Yeah, we got a bunch of people watching. Great. So yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, please ask away. Anything we can answer is cool.
Ben, I'm going to ask you, where are you going as soon as they let out? Because I like to go out fishing every year. And so I was really hoping to get into some newer lakes in Algonquin that I had not visited before. And I don't think that's going to happen now. But like you said, when it does open, when the park's open, I think they will see just a surge of people. And Algonquin's such a popular park
Yeah.
anyway. I don't know that would be one I'd want to visit. Not first, anyway.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, that's happened regardless of what's going on now. I find it's getting busier and busier. Part of that's probably because people like me and lots of other people promote getting outside and show how cool it is, and then more and more people want to do it. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You want to get people outside, but it makes it busier because there was times when you would never ever have to reserve a backcountry site. You could just go up and pick a lake when you're there, and you can get it. And now you can't do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
gonna be
It's getting
crazy.
harder and harder.
You should try some
Yeah.
backpack.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say you should try. I've mentioned this probably in every single one of these episodes. So I used to backpack, then I became a
Yeah.
canoeer, and I actually went backpacking last August up in Puckasaw National Park. Have you ever been there? It's on the north
No,
shore of Lake
no.
Superior. You could paddle along the shore if you want to, but then you're on Lake Superior, and it's can
Yeah.
change rapidly. But
It's a rough lake. Yeah.
it's a rough hike as well, but it's spectacular. It's amazing. It's one of those places that you feel like it changes you. I mean, we all know what it's like getting out in the backcountry. It does wonders for your soul. But this place, it felt like when I left that I was changed again. Like it's amazing. But the one thing
Yeah.
is, being a canoeer now, it's so hard to pack just a backpack. You're like, how did I ever used to do this? There's too much stuff.
Yeah. 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 I try and keep things very, very light, pretty minimalist actually. So, which is the only way to go. I'm still astounded when I hit every once in a while when I come across somebody who's got like 3 or 4 carryovers. They've got
How many
so much gear, right?
how many does it take you typically? Are you a 2 times, or are you all
I
at once?
do. If I was younger and stronger, I could do it in one. But I cannot manage. Even though my canoe is so light, I just can't do 100 pounds of gear. I just
Yeah.
can't. With canoe and everything, it's just too much for me. Like I said, if I was younger, stronger, fitter, I could probably do it.
I try
So
and
it's
limit
okay.
it.
I consider it an opportunity to get a little extra exercise to do those, double carryovers. I just take my pack over and then I come back for the canoe.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it's the nice thing about coming back to get the second piece of your equipment is you get to see the portage of it, because
Yeah.
I find going there with the first carrier, I'm so focused on just getting there and huffing and puffing to get there. I'm not really enjoying the view, but on the second pass, you're cooling down and getting to enjoy the view a little bit, which is not bad.
Yeah. I think I try to do 2. Occasionally it's 3. Depends what I'm taking. Like if I'm taking a lot of camera gear,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm weighed down even more, so it might take more. Have you met Tim? You haven't met Tim, but obviously you've seen him in some of our
No,
2 men in a canoe things.
no,
He likes to bring a lot of gear.
yeah.
So he is always a 2, at least a 2. Like if it was me carrying all the
Yeah.
stuff he had, it would be a 3. It's 3
Yeah.
trips.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and it just depends on the nature of what you want to do,
Yeah.
right? If you want to go hard or go far, then you've got to lighten the load, right?
Yeah, it does depend
but
on what
if,
you're doing. Yeah.
I mean, I've done trips where I'm just going in and coming out, and I may bring, I've hauled cords of wood, or
Oh,
not
wow.
cords, bags of wood in with me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on more than one occasion.
Well, if you're just
so
going to one
it
place
just
on a lake,
depends on the trip
yeah,
I'm doing.
and you're base camping, yeah, it's totally fine. Oh, let's see, got a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, sometimes I will do that, and I enjoy that.
Yeah. Oh, Vicky says Pakistan's
Um,
religious experience hard to describe. Yes, I agree. Aaron McDonald has a question. Do you have any advice for people new to solo paddling trips? Obviously, you do a lot of solo. You do
Solo
mostly solo.
paddling specifically. Yeah,
Yeah. I know Erin's
Um,
got her paddleboard, so she wants to go backcountry on her paddleboard, which is
Yes.
pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. Maybe she can do that. Yeah, she can take her paddle board, and I'll take my canoe, and we'll go out.
Yeah.
But if it's solo, make sure that you're preparing how you're going to trim out your canoe with your gear. Make sure you understand the importance of balancing your canoe with the gear that you have. One of the challenges I had to learn, because everything I also pack, really pack wisely. Make sure that there are specific things that are accessible to you in your canoe that are of real importance. One of the things that I do when I'm canoeing is, especially if it's a long day and I'm moving, passing, through several lakes and portages. When I come to the lake that I'm camping on,
We keep losing our internet signal here. Let's continue. I don't know why. So for anybody watching, if you're seeing us now, we're getting the internet's not cooperating all that well, so we're getting some cutouts every now and then. But yeah, I used to have the pump, and the hose is never long enough. So you're sitting there trying to get into your water bottle, keep your water bottle from falling over, and pump at this. Yeah, horrible. But then when I took my wilderness first aid course last June, it was, I think, the guy there had multiple gravity fed ones. Oh, that's brilliant. I got to get one of those. So yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, when I bought mine, it comes with a 4-liter reservoir bag.
Nice.
And then I bought an additional 2-liter. So I fill up 6 liters of water, which is more than I need for a single night, but I'll generally fill them both up.
Yeah.
And just filter what I need, right?
Well, yeah.
And I also bought an additional charcoal filter.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal. I did a trip down the Barron Canyon several years back, and I can remember my last campsite, which was way down at the end of the river past the canyon, just before Squirrel Rapids.
Okay, yeah.
I remember going out to the middle of the river, it's more of a river, to fill up my water bladders, and I remember holding them up and going, oh my God, it looks like pee. And it tasted like pee too. And after that, I got a charcoal filter, and it makes such a difference. I know a lot of people really enjoy the taste of the water, and that's great. And sometimes the water does not taste bad at all, but there are some water sources that, yeah, I wouldn't want to drink straight out of them.
Nice. I always flavor it because I'm not a big fan of plain water.
I do that too.
Yeah, that's always good. Preferences for food?
That's a really good question. So this year, one of the things I really wanted to focus on this year was doing more dehydration. My husband had given me a dehydrator 2 years ago for Christmas, and I hadn't really put it to a lot of use. So this year I've been, especially because we're all locked indoors, I've been doing a lot of dehydrating, which is great, because up until now, I'm like the girl who buys, or who brings things like Mr. Noodle soup and instant potatoes and minute rice, anything that'll cook quickly, but nothing extravagant. I know a lot of people get really, really into the food that they bring, but for most long trips, I'm just looking for something to give me some energy and keep me fed and just fill my belly a little bit, but I don't get too into it. And I was really focusing this year on better meal preparation, which is also hard for me because I don't eat meat.
Oh.
I don't eat any meat, but I do eat fish, but I don't eat any poultry or beef or any other kind of red meat. So it's hard coming up with meals. This year I used a lot of rice and I used a lot of potatoes, but this year I was also dehydrating quinoa, which dehydrates beautifully, I've found out, and you can also use it as a snack, as trail mix too.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to use that quite a bit.
Should get a freeze dryer. The camping family has a freeze dryer. Oh my God!
I looked at them online and I'm like, God,
expensive.
if I only had the extra money to spend, if I only did,
They're like the price of a canoe or two. They're crazy expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. But I would love that because I don't mind the freeze-dried food. Yeah. And I think it can enhance your options too a little bit, and it really lightens up.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it'll keep... I think it was apple they let me try. They had some apple slices that they had freeze-dried, and it's small, but it tastes just like you're eating a fresh apple. It's like, that's amazing. It's fantastic. But they're super, super expensive. Yeah. Let's see. Any other questions in here? Oh, somebody, Tom wants to know, any tips on selecting a hammock? Do you camp in a hammock or a tent?
I do. I have a hammock. So when I first started backcountry, because it was all new to me, backcountry solo, it was all new to me, and I only have been doing this since 2012. I started with a tent setup. It was actually a two-man tent because I cannot stand the single ones. They're way too claustrophobic for me. But very quickly, within the year, I started looking at the option of hammocking. And so I spent about another year really doing quite a bit of research on hammocks and what was out there, and turned my system over to a hammock system, which I have still brought tents out on occasion, depending on what's happening, but I almost exclusively hammock camp now. And I love hammock camping. There are pros and cons to it. I think weight-wise, pretty much the same as a really ultralight solo tent setup.
Yeah.
It's not really that much different. It's less bulky, for sure. I don't bother generally unless it's kind of an in-out or a paddle-in trip or something. I don't generally bring an extra tarp. I just do with the tarp that's over my hammock, and if I find I need to sit under the tarp, I just pull my hammock back, and that's my tarp setup too. Yeah. So I kind of reduce a little bit that way. The only downside is it means you may not be near your fire when you do that.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's cool. I've tried my... Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I did end up purchasing a Dream hammock. It's the only hammock I've ever used, so I can't really speak to any other setups. I've had no personal experience with them, but I will tell you I did a lot of checking and reviews before I did invest in that. It's an absolutely spectacular setup. I have absolutely zero complaints about it. And my setup's got the whole integrated bug net that goes in and out. It's an ASIM hammock, which I know people who don't necessarily hammock might not understand what an ASIM hammock is, but it's basically, as opposed to the kind of hammock that kind of banana boats, just like this, right, when you gather up the ends. When you gather the end, the way it's cut, it actually kind of goes like this and like this. There's kind of corners on it. Okay. So you're actually designed to lay kind of at a 45 angle, not top to bottom, but on a 45-degree angle across it. And by doing that, you actually put tension on the fabric that causes you to lay flat.
Oh, nice.
Which is what you want to create, right? Because nobody wants to lay in the banana boat shape because it's very hard on your back. So if you're looking at a hammock setup, just make sure it's an asymmetrical or ASIM hammock. Unless it's something like what you've got, because I know you've got a tent-style hammock that lays flat across. There's a few varieties that lay flat across. But if you're looking at a gathered end hammock, it's got to be ASIM, so you get a flat lay.
Nice. Yeah, the tent-style tents are awesome, but you need 3 trees that are positioned in a good spot. There's been many times and many videos, which I can't include the footage of me setting it up because I'm swearing and, and everything because because the trees aren't positioned right. You're like, But I like those. But I have done hammock a couple of times, but I just have a cheap like $50 hammock. Which is fine. And I actually used it last summer.
But you won't get the same.
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I used it last summer. I was going to
say, but you won't get the same level of comfort.
Oh, no way, nowhere near. No. But I set it up last summer. I had set up my Eureka no bug zone, and I put the hammock in there because there was a lot of bugs, and I was just hanging out in there. I thought, I don't need to set up my tent. I'll just stay in here. But the thing in the hammock, I don't find it's a problem when I'm in the tent-style tents because I feel secure, even if I'm coming down a little lower. But in the hammock, I just feel exposed. Like I imagine a bear or something walking through and just hitting you, and you start bouncing back and forth. So I just feel more exposed in a hammock.
No, and actually, I'm glad you touched on that because one of the things I felt I had to get over emotionally was that feeling of being exposed because you jump in your tent at night and you zip it up and you get in your sleeping bag and pull it up to your eyes and you feel all safe, right? Yeah. But in a hammock you feel like you've got this much space underneath where the tarp is that anything can crawl in underneath.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I was in Massasauga a couple summers or springs back, and I had set up my hammock system, and I was in my hammock. It had gotten dark. I'm laying there reading, and because of the nature of the way you sleep kind of, 45-degree angle across it. My head's butted up against the net and everything, right? And I'm reading away, and all of a sudden the chipmunk goes running right across my face. So yes, could there be wildlife? Yes, but that's my only experience with any kind of wildlife bothering me while in my hammock. I don't think you're going to get any more problem with anything getting underneath you than you would with a tent and anything crawling around outside.
Probably not.
Really.
It's the psychology of it. That's all. I mean, that's the psychology of solo camping, anyways. I mean, the noises at night are so much worse when you're on your own than when you're not.
Absolutely.
A couple of other questions here. Any parks or locations outside of Ontario that you plan on doing a paddling trip?
Oh my God. I have not found, just this year I started thinking I would really like to get out to Quebec to do some camping. I've skied in Quebec because I do alpine skiing too, and I've driven out on several occasions to Quebec to ski. And I thought it would be so nice to get out there to do some camping too. So I may reach out to Mark Pinard. Maybe he's got some suggestions. I started actually about a week or 2 weeks ago looking at what was out there, but it would be nice to get some guidance from anybody who's got some suggestions, because I think that's one area I'd like to go. I often think I would love to go out west to Alberta, but I just can't get over the grizzly bears. I just can't do it.
That's true. I drove through there a couple of years ago. And I was camping. I didn't camp in any of the parks there. I camped just outside of Calgary when I was going through. Well, yeah, that would be on my mind, the bears. And then the other thing is, as far as paddling out there, it's not like Ontario where there's like lakes, a portage, a lake. You've got mountains and then really, really cold glacial lakes and that kind of stuff. So we're lucky where we are. We got so many lakes.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're very blessed where we are. I wouldn't mind even front country camping, because there are a lot of campgrounds there too, as a way of exploring the area too. But I just can't fathom being solo out there with the amount of wildlife there is and the nature of the kind of wildlife. I know there are people who do it, but maybe one day, we'll see. Maybe one day when I think I'm so old that death is around the corner anyway.
That's right.
I might
Then
do
it
it.
doesn't matter then. That's right. Have you had any wildlife encounters in your trips?
I have. I've had a couple wildlife encounters. The first, well, actually, the scariest wildlife encounter I ever had was actually my very first trip, and it was again, my first backcountry experience, going solo. I'd never been to the backcountry. It was all new. And I, of course, was just on high alert the entire time I was out. And it was a 3-day trip. And on day 2, the way my setup was at my campground, or at my campsite, I had a trail to the Thunderbox, and then I would go past that over a knoll, and I'd hang my my bear bag. And I went back there in the late afternoon to get my bear bag to make dinner, and I would bring my bear spray with me because I was convinced the bears were there waiting for that bear bag to come down. So I was on high alert. So I've got my bear spray in hand, and I'm taking down my bear bag, and I get my bear bag to the ground, and I deployed my bear spray.
Oh, no.
Directly into the ground, shot out, and this orange plume came out of the ground, and I jumped like it was an Olympic-sized jump, 6 feet back, and I just beelined it for my campsite, and I thought, I'm coming back tomorrow or later on tonight to get that bear bag.
Wow.
I waited about 20 minutes, came back. It had all cleared, but I'll tell you, put the fear of God in me. If you're going to bring bear spray, make sure you keep the safety on. That's my first piece of advice. I learned a lot. So the next day, I packed up. I got up in the morning. I packed everything up, put it all down by the water, had my canoe sitting there. I'm ready to go. My last trip to the outhouse before I hit the water. I go do my business, slam the lid down, turn to walk down the path to my campsite, and stereophonic sound, like right next to my head. All I hear is, oh, oh, oh. And I've never heard a bear, Ben. I've never heard a bear, but I thought, that is not a wolf, that is not a moose, and there is only one animal that could have possibly made that sound. I was too afraid to look behind me. And all I kept thinking is, just keep walking, walking, walking. And I did. I know there was a bear there. And it was a couple years later, I was reading an article on bear spray. There's a mosquito in the house. That's promising.
Oh, yeah.
So I was reading an article a couple years later, and they were saying that when you deploy your bear spray, it will now act as an attractant to bears.
Great.
Because it's pepper. It's pepper, and bears like pepper. So I think what had happened is where that spray had shot into the ground, a bear was back there. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'll tell you, I had anxiety about that. I never saw him, never saw the bear, but I had anxiety for years from that. And I've seen bears really up close since then, no problem. But that one caused me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
for sure.
hearing it like that, I think would. Yeah, I was lucky. This year was the first two that I've actually seen wild backcountry camping. I've seen some like when I was driving in or out before, but this was the first time seeing. We saw one as we were paddling out. It was walking along the shore right where we needed to go, and then the other one was took a friend of mine that hadn't been camping before. So her first trip, she got first of all to hear wolves at night. We saw some otters. And a bear on the trail, which when we saw it just took off. So that made me confident that that's what they're likely going to do in most cases, is just keep away from you anyway. So
yeah, that's nice. The most fun I've had having, or the most frequency I've had in having encounters though, was my trip in Killarney, because I went up there one year in September. And I saw everything from moose, moose right on the portage trail, that like right there, deer right at the edge of, paddling a lake, and deer looking at you over the bushes, and I had a bear jump off right next to my campsite and swim across the lake. I had wolves like nothing I've ever heard all night long. It was great. Killarney is the place to be. There's a lot of wildlife activity for sure.
I did a video shoot for the city of Elliott Lake. This was probably about at least 10 years ago, maybe more. And so we did, it was promoting the area and stuff like that. So we had to go up in the fall, in the winter, in the summer to get different shots. And we had been out twice with this guy who's I don't know what you call him. He's a fisherman. He takes people out fishing and outfits them, I guess, an outfitter, I guess. And he really knows where to catch fish. And he was telling us a story, and I seem to vaguely remember seeing it in the news. He had gone out in his fishing boat, like a little, 14-foot aluminum fishing boat, and a bear sort of was swimming across the lake, swam right to his boat, climbed in. He said he jumped out and left the bear in the boat as it went over to shore, and then it hit the shore and the bear hopped out and went away. It's like, that would be an encounter I think I would jump out in that case too. So yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Wow. You have to wonder what the bear had in mind doing that.
Yeah.
Like, was it after him, or
was it just tired of swimming? I don't know.
Yeah.
So you always,
wow.
Okay, here's a question about your food. And I've often wondered this. I've never had a problem with something like a bear getting into. Oh, we just lost. There we go. Come back. Have you ever had a situation where you had to hang your food closer than you liked?
Yeah, once in a while. I've been at a site where it was so swampy around me, that, and the nature of the kind of trees, they were so close together, just growing in on each other. It was hard to find a good spot to hang a tree, but I will spend quite a lot of time searching out a good tree, a long, long time, um, if I have to. And my favorite place to hang is actually if I can find a tree overhanging the water.
Yeah.
That's actually my favorite place. Yeah, if I can find a branch that's overhanging the water, because I don't have a really good throwing arm, so being able to throw 30 feet or 40 feet, it's not going to happen for me.
What do you use to hang it with?
I find hanging on. Sorry?
What do you use to?
Sorry?
What kind of rope do you use? Like I use one of my throw bags from the Canoe. I find that works really well.
Yeah, I'll use whatever small little nylon bag. I usually have a nylon bag that's actually in my food sack. And so I'll pull that out and I'll search out a rock that I can put in it, and that's what I use. Nice. I made the mistake 2 years ago. I went camping. It was in the fall, and it was in Algonquin, and I got to my campsite and went to hang my bear bag. Had a tree picked out. All was good. Could not. I'm searching and searching and searching everywhere, in the water, all over the place, for a rock to put in my bag. Do you think in Algonquin I could find a rock to put in this bag? Could not find a rock. So I ended up thinking, well, I'm going to have to use a piece of heavy gear. So I put a piece of heavy gear in my bag, threw it up the tree, and for the first time I got the bag stuck in the tree. And you know what piece of gear I put in there was my stove.
Oh, no.
I put my little stove in there. And I'm like, it took me an hour to get it out. But
it's funny. It needs to be something heavy. I had that happen with, we had already picked out our tree. We had used it a couple of times already for the food bag. But then I thought, you know what? I have my GoPro. I want to get a shot from above of us hiking. So I figured I'll tie my GoPro to the end of the rope, pull it up the tree. Okay, great. It works. We walk underneath it. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to get it down. Oh, there's not enough weight on it for it to come down. And I couldn't get it up and over because there was a fork in the tree. So I had to search around for a really, really long stick. And it probably took me an hour or so to get that down.
Yeah, that's scary. The thought of losing, especially something expensive, up in a tree because you can't get it. There's no way to climb it. I mean, you're not going to climb it. So, yeah, I'm glad you got it back. But I have a tip, because one of the things, you were talking about sometimes you get mice and stuff in your bag. You've had that happen. I use an Ursack, which is a bear-resistant bag, okay? And I hang all my food up in that. It gets hung, even though I've heard people actually leaving it down because it's bear resistant, but I hang it.
As long as your ropes that you've attached it to the tree is bear resistant, otherwise it'll just rip through those.
Yeah. But what I found, I was on a trip. It was ice out, my first trip of the season going fishing, and I had hung my bear bag. And when I got up the next morning, I had the unpleasant situation of I had not eaten enough the day before, and I got a little bit, I think my sugar bottomed out a little bit first thing when I got up the next morning, and I actually found myself having to lie down on the ground.
Oh, wow.
I thought I was going to pass out. And I thought, it was not good. And I thought, I've got to get something to eat, and I went to my bear bag, hung in the tree, and it had frozen. The line had frozen to the tree overnight. And again, it was a long time to get that bag to come down. So I learned from that, because I mean, these things actually provide us opportunities to get creative and to learn things.
Oh, for sure,
right?
Yeah.
So one thing I like to do now with my bag is I will actually tie either I tie the end of the rope back to the bag, or I'll take a separate line and tie it to the bag, and I keep that hanging down straight. And I can actually pull the bag down.
Nice.
So I can release the tie-off system, and then I can pull the bag down if it's not heavy enough to drop. Because especially being a solo camper, sometimes you don't have enough weight in the bag. Because you're at the end of the trip and there's hardly any food left in there, and so sometimes I've learned to tie it off so you can actually pull it down. And that's worked well.
That's a good idea. If anybody has any other questions, now is the time to ask, because we've been going for a while. We're going to wrap up fairly soon. So if anybody has any other questions, please ask. Is there anything else you want to mention, chat about? Is there anything, any memorable moments you've had?
memorable moments. Probably, you know what, and it was actually, animal encounters tend to be really memorable moments. I had a memorable moment on Ken Lake. I was camping again in the fall. It was in September, and set up my camp, built a fire, and I was the only person on the lake, and went down to the water's edge with my dinner that I had made. I was eating meat at that time, and I had made bacon and eggs, which is, bacon is a calling card. And so I went down to the water and was sitting and about to eat, and I saw a flash of movement, and I turned, and there was a fisher.
Oh, nice.
That was running straight for me. And he stopped about 6 feet away from me and cocked his head like a little puppy dog. And we had a moment there where I chatted with him before he figured I wasn't going to give him anything, and he turned around and ran back the way he came. But that was actually a really cool moment, just to have him come up so close and spend that little bit of time with me. It was really cool.
Nice. Awesome. Great way to end it. So hopefully you get your boat soon. Hopefully we're allowed to get out camping again soon. Get out soon.
I'm hoping.
And then we'll have to go do some cruiser racing.
Absolutely. And I hope maybe when they do open the parks, maybe, this community of campers, everybody seems to know everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can all get together and have a big camp out and do a couple parties and all celebrate our freedom again. And I'll tell you, though, the one thing that's keeping me alive right now is this happy thought I have that all the moose down in Algonquin along Highway 60 are really enjoying the peace and quiet right now.
True,
so
yeah.
I think it's nice that the park in the wilderness gets to be wild and free right now itself, and we'll be there to join them soon.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for doing this,
are
Kelly.
you going to?
What's that?
I was going to say we're all going to be on Canoe Hound on Saturday, right?
Oh, I
We're
think
all
so. Yeah,
connecting on Canoe Hound on Saturday.
I was watching
the symposium.
Yes, I was watching. Yeah, and the other day he was talking to Bill Swift, which was cool. You chatted on that too. You were asking where your boat was, or somebody was asking on your behalf where your boat was. Yeah, absolutely. That's Saturday night. I may or may not have another one of these on Sunday. It depends. If not, next Thursday I want to do something. So anybody watching, if you would like to chat, just send me a message. I'd love to have some other people to chat with. Anybody that's outdoorsy, it'd be great to chat with you. So.